All right, I've got my second story done. So I'm going to read it to you, and I hope you enjoy it. It's called Fly by me, Mindy Gorchenko. The oppressive stench of feet formed a barrier between the lobby of the trampoline park and the place where hordes of children jumped, flipped, and soared through the air, occasionally splatting themselves against the padded walls like tiny, stumbling drunks. As Kaylani and her biological mother stepped through the sock stench barrier and into the arena of trampoline pads, the smaller children scattered away from them like spokes on a bicycle, shooting off in different directions. Kalani tentatively stepped onto a trampoline, jumping small jumps, then gradually jumping with greater intensity until her entire body was many feet above the floor with every leap. She continued to face away from her mother, if she could even be called mother. That alone was up for discussion. Sometimes she thought of her as mom, but now was not that time. The more time she spent around her mother, the less she thought of her as her mother and more like an occasional interruption of her otherwise functional and sometimes even enjoyable life. The state, her custodial guardian and protector for many years now, had deemed it preferable that Kalani and her mother spend time together in a public setting as often as her mother was able to be located and the arrangements made. Many months would pass when her mother's location could not be ascertained. Kalani hated that she looked for her. Her foster mother took her to appointments in town, and they'd drive past street blocks lined with tents, shopping carts scattered throughout, smoke rising from small fires built for warmth in the crisp fall. Kalani would try her best to appreciate each and every face they'd pass to see if she would recognize her mother. It was usually winter when her mom would surface at a shelter and the state could more easily identify her location, contact her, make the offers to arrange transportation and amusement with her oldest biological daughter. Kalani thought it sounded awfully enabling. She had learned about that in therapy when her therapist, June, had helped her to question the many ways she would accommodate negative behaviors. But I like to help, Kalani would protest, and also I think it is easier to change if one is supported. But are you supporting the behavior you wish to see, or are you supporting the negative behavior and expecting something different? A probing question, a circular response. She thought about her mother's lack of effort, the way the surrounding agencies would continue to pour into their non-existent relationship as though it actually mattered. Kalani did not understand how all the social workers and the guardian ad litem and the judge all hoped to see something different in Kalani's mother. She doubted at this point that they actually did expect for this to happen, and thus it seemed disingenuous to go through this charade. This time, the trampoline park assumed the role of meeting host, providing an open area with loud music, bathrooms, and a drinking fountain. Kalani leapt, her body closer to a woman's now than a child's, soft angles covered with layers of clothes, which rose and fell slightly with her body's movements. She had almost forgotten she was here for a visit, and the remembering caused her to feel briefly nauseous. She told herself to turn around. Her mother was here, and so was she. The only way around this was through it, so she might as well get this over with. She turned around. Thwomp! A beanbag hit her squarely in the chest. Her mother's eyes gleamed. Kalani easily dodged the second one that soared past her now. What the hell? Her mother's body was hard. Muscles bulged against the sleeves of her shirt, developed over a lifetime of subsistence living on the shores of a river largely inaccessible to the rest of the world. That life existed only in her past, replaced now by survival on the city streets, a newer skill set demanding in its own right. Kalani had always marveled at her mother's physical strength, although she otherwise scoffed at the ways she failed to meet her responsibilities in life, the way she had failed Kalani so spectacularly. Kalani picked up the beanbag and thought about tossing it to the side, packing up her stuff and leaving the building. Her chest still stung. What right did her mother have to throw something at her, laugh about it, or even try to have fun with her. The idea made her crazy with rage. Her mother's broad shoulders made her change her mind. She thought about her own life, the stark loneliness, the violence of adults, the cowering she did while waiting for them to finally pass out from drink. And she took aim and threw with all her strength. The beanbag thwacked against her mother's chest, causing her to stumble back briefly with surprise, and then she shrieked with laughter. Kalani scowled, then ducked, another beanbag soaring over her head, skimming her hair. She bounded away, pitching off to the side and jumping from one trampoline to the next one away from her mother. She traveled quickly from one to the next, leaning forward and trusting the design of the building as much as her own legs to get her where she needed to go. Kalani landed at the jousting beam, a narrow bridge over a pool of foam pieces. The goal was to try to knock another person off the beam and into the foam, and she picked up a pole. The padded ball at the end would not hurt an opponent, but would definitely assist in the successful dislodging of an opponent off the beam. Her mother avoided the trampolines, but jogged along the floor to the pit, picking up the second pole. And despite herself, Kalani felt a warm feeling growing in her chest, deeper than the exterior sting that had started to abate. If nothing else, this was cathartic. They both stepped tentatively onto the beam, facing each other with their poles. Kalani's mother pretended to jut the pole toward Kalani, who backed away. Then Kalani moved forward a few steps until she was able to shove her padded lance against her mother's torso, causing her mother to quickly step back. "You're quick," her mother stated in her clipped voice. Kalani hated that she warmed more inside to this praise. She couldn't remember when her mother had ever told her anything positive about herself. She felt like a dog lapping up the words. "So are you," she lamely responded. The default response of returning praise with praise felt pathetic. A trauma response, her therapist would say. Sure, her mother was quick and strong and sharp with her tongue and a world champion at getting wasted and being a shitty parent. Kalani gave a shove with her entire body toward the woman before her. Her mother spun slightly on one foot and then lost her balance, pitching into the foam pit. Kalani's face broke into a smile. Her mother struggled to get her feet under her. Kalani jumped off the beam, glanced one more time at her mother, slowly wading through the foam blocks toward the edge, and stepped onto a trampoline again, casually jumping. Maybe they could work through their shit if they met here every day for the next year, taking turns throwing things at each other and trying to knock each other off the beam. She was too old now to be raised. Her mother had blown that opportunity, and Kalani did not need her for that anymore. Her foster parent was decent, better than decent. Not quite a whole-ass mother to her, but getting there, and she was working on being her kid. But maybe they could find their way into some sort of relationship that wasn't solely painful. She wasn't sure what the point was exactly. She was not sure this relationship was obligated to exist. She'd need to bring that to her therapist. The various social workers and associated people seemed to think it did. In her own life thus far, it was a relationship that had only ever proffered one thing to her beyond her basic existence, and that was PTSD. Her mother, now glistening with sweat, came before her and began jumping on a separate trampoline. They faced each other. Her expression appeared relaxed. For the first time in a long time since starting these visits, Kalani didn't want to run. She didn't feel much of anything, but the urge to dart had subsided with the cathartic activity. Now she just bounced, feeling her body, existing in it, existing as herself. The woman before her existed separately. She didn't know why she still had to know this woman, or why no one had asked her whether she wanted to keep knowing her. For whatever reason, the fact that her physical body had come out of this woman's body seemed to entitle her to some sort of multi-decade relationship guarantee despite her intense failures. But whatever it was now was not going to control her body any longer. She would drive past the homeless encampments and keep her eyes straight. She would not look for something tangible to emerge from this rubble of a parenting experiment. She would even sit down and have a serious conversation with her foster mother about whether they might go ahead with adoption. She bounced toward her mother and rammed her body into her side, and they both stumbled and fell into a heap on top of the padded floor. Her mother laughed, and Kalani thought about laughing. Then she let a small smile emerge. There it is. Story number 2. Thanks for listening. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.